Hi, I'm Michael Allen Sell. I'm a licensed loan officer in New Orleans with Eustis Mortgage. I've been licensed for 7.5 years, and I work with all kinds of clients, first-time home buyers, those who are going several steps down the line, a little bit of everything. And the point of all of this is to demystify the process, probably more so for those that this is their first time around. So this is part one, which is pre-qualification. In most cases, we're speaking by telephone, and initially we're having a conversation. I'm learning things like what parish maybe that you're looking to focus on, how many people are on the loan, is this the first time, anything like that to help me better understand what each client is looking to do. Because there are patterns, there's overlap, but everybody's situation is a little bit different, right? So the three main things that eventually we get to will be this, is that each of these need to work independently, and not one is great and the other two aren't quite there. All of those need to work. And those three will be as follows. So one, credit score. Most people realize that. Number two, buying power, which comes from a debt to income ratio. And then three is assets, or what's sometimes called funds to close. What we initially talked through on credit is this. Most people out there do use some sort of site or app to monitor credit scores, right? Those scores are great guides for consumers, but they're going to be typically a little bit different from the FICO scores that I pull. At the same time, those are useful to me to get kind of a sense already of hey, what type of loan might work best? Do we have multiple options? Or are we not quite there and we need a game plan to make this work? So that's the first thing that we discuss is credit scores. That said, if you don't currently use any of the sites that are out there to help you monitor your scores and not have any surprises, it would be a great idea to do this. And I'm happy to suggest any possibilities to do that. Okay. Number two, then again, is the question everybody has: what's my max? What can I go up to? And that's the part that for a lot of people is the kind of confounding, mystical side of things of where does that number even come from? Here's the thing: it's very simple. It's just math. Everybody's buying power is different because everyone's income and their monthly bills for loans and credit cards will be different as well. Ultimately, for all of this that we're speaking of, the next step is that you'll do an application. I pull credit, you provide pay stubs, bank statements, all that. But the pre-qualification part, this phone call typically, is something that we just do as we're kind of talking through things. The great thing is that gives a really good guide up front for what the possibilities are, especially on buying power. So what I'll do is find this. For a client, I'll find out either what their salary is or what they're paid per hour. If there's overtime that they've received that they've gotten for at least 2 years, or any other kind of what's called variable income, I'll find out what that is. Then based on a few different loan types, I'll multiply that literally on the fly in a calculator, find out that percentage. Then that's not the final number. Then I'm subtracting out loans and credit cards. Usually car note, maybe there's student loans, installment loan that's co-signed. In some cases, we can pull that out, but I need to know about things like that. Also, credit cards; those fluctuate monthly. But what are the monthlies for credit cards on average? And then when I take income times that percentage that's required by loan minus existing bills, and I don't have to use rental income. I don't have to use the Entergy bill, sewage and water board, any of that. Just loans and credit cards. What would be on a credit report. But what's left then will tell me ballpark. It's going to give me an amount, but I can extrapolate that to ballpark. This is what your buying power that the range will be, when we're working on this. The third part is assets or funds to close. Basically, how much money is in the bank, 401k, potentially gift funds from family in order to provide for down payment if it's required, and any closing costs that the seller's not covering. For that. The big thing on that to know is any money needs to be seasoned in a bank account for 2 months. It can't be closet money, so that's key. Also, not everyone realizes that you can use gift funds. So from family, direct family, parents, siblings, aunt, uncle, things like that. And then once we go through each of those three items, if there's one part of that seems like, okay, we need to work on this, then it's game plan time. And then as you, as the client, the prospective home buyer, we talk through that. I let your realtor know if you have one that you're working with, so they know also what we're looking toward. And then we take it from there. So let me give an example on that. Let's say that I speak with a client that credit score is 700, based on their income and their bills. Buying power is 300,000 ballpark, and they have 20,000 in the bank. Well, from what I know, that sounds like check for credit, check for buying power, as long as that works for what they're seeking, and then check for money in the bank for that. So that works. But on the other hand, let's say I have somebody who that works for the 300,000, that works for the money in the bank, but the credit score is, from what they monitor, is 450, for example. Well, guess what? That 450 can't disappear because of the other two items, right? In the same way, you could have an 800 credit score, but if, let's say you're between jobs right now, and there's no money in the bank, then that 800 credit score will not bail you out of those other two items. Do you see what I mean? So those have to work independently, each of the three of those. And then what happens is if we need to do the game plan, then all that's made clear, I communicate that with the agent. If not, if it sounds like, hey, we can move forward with this, then that's when I send on the link for the application. And at that point, everything that we've discussed as we're just talking through the situation, the scenario, working through those numbers, then that's when we make it official. I do not do a pre-approval based off of a phone call, based off of a pre-qualification. I only do that once we have a complete application, and it's quick. It takes about 10 minutes. You're providing in most cases, you're providing driver's license, a month of pay stubs, 2 months bank statements, and the last 2 years of W-2s. Typically, I only need tax returns for a self-employed borrower. So it's all those other items, and those are pretty quick. And then in the next YouTube video, I'll talk about the pre-approval process and how that works. But the whole point of this initial video was just to, again, demystify the process of what pre-qualification means. Because I'm this voice on the phone that in most cases we haven't met. You don't know me, you're not sure what I'm going to ask. And sometimes it can make people a little bit nervous. It can fill people with a little bit of anxiety. So this is a way for you to realize there's nothing to worry about, don't stress. I'm not judging, it's not anything like that. My job, my goal is to work with you and help you make this happen. So I thank you for your time, and I thank you for listening.